Hello everybody, good day. Hope you're doing really well. Today I've got a nice little treat for you. We are in Sussex, we're in Steyning. Literally are in Steyning itself. Normally I'll drive through Steyning, not for any particular reason. Not too far away from Bramber Castle. Nice little ruin that, check that out on the channel, I've done that a long time ago now. But we're here today to explore a rifle range, which is now part of a wildlife conservation area. The interesting thing will be what state it's in. I'm very curious about this one to see actually the condition. It's either in bad or adequate. I can't imagine it being really good. I'm currently walking along the rifle range as we speak now. So let's see what we find. See you on the other side. Bye. So everybody, for your history lesson, I just felt that actually for a change we'll just read what the sign says. Britain in the mid-19th century was living under the constant threat of conflict. British troops were engaged in the Crimean War and there was rising concerns about the expansionist ambitions of France under Louis Napoleon Bonaparte. At this time the government encouraged local people to form autonomous rifle corporations under the National Rifle Volunteers movement to guard the mainland against invasion. The Henfield, Steyning and Storrington Rifle Corps was launched by a small group in 1860. Initial interest among the locals was limited, perhaps because only men of some means had the time and funds available to resource the venture. Nevertheless, the Whiston estate provided this valley for the rifle range and later a drill hall which was built in Henfield, 9 miles away. Despite a hefty subscription fee, the volunteers were not well equipped and had to design and provide their own flamboyant uniforms. The government had hoped that the rifle volunteers movement would be self-sustaining. After a few years, it was recognised that the central funding was needed. In 1908, the Rifle Volunteers were transformed into the Territorial Force, later the Territorial Army, or TAs. Still volunteers, but now equipped and trained by the British Army, the local regiments were trained by the Steyning Rifle Range. In the interwar years, the rifle range continued to be used by both territorials and civilian shooting clubs, and then at the outbreak of World War II, the local defence volunteers were established. These would soon be rebranded the Home Guard Dad's Army in an attempt to move away from the local volunteer. The Home Guard used the rifle range on Sundays, but the regular army trained here for the rest of the week. After World War II, the rifle range continued to be used for training by the army cadets and the police, then by local shooting clubs before it was being closed in the late mid-80s. The rifle range witnessed dramatic developments in firearms technology. In 1853, the P55 rifle was introduced. This fired rifle bullets and replaced the musket that had been used for hundreds of years previously, which fired lead balls. The rifle range has been used by all the main British Army rifle developments, from the P53 Enfield rifle via the Martini Henry, which was made famous by Zulu Wars, a Rorke's Drift, to modern high-powered rifles. And here we are looking down on the rifle range. I thought that'd be better than a normal history lesson, wouldn't it? Should we actually go explore it for ourselves? Come on! Oh, here we are. Wow, proper cool. Hi everybody and welcome back. What a brilliant shooting range this is. It's probably actually one of the best ones I've seen really in a well, just ever, I think, really, actually. Although there's a lot of graffiti and it's been obviously well documented, It's just really nice actually, considering. Amy's McLean and Co. Limited. I have to read that. Beautiful signage up on there for one of the rifle butts. There's 8 in total, so it's significant rifle range. Obviously, we know that. Obviously, when I sort of spoke to it was weird actually, because I was sort of debating, do I do a history lesson on this or not? But actually, that board did a really good job. So forgive me on that. That's not me being lazy. I was just trying to sort of like, I thought I actually did a better job actually of explaining it. It was used up until the mid 80s. Again, as it was sort of saying. So actually, the size of this and the significance of this actually tells an incredible story, really. But again, not uncommon. There are a lot of rifle ranges sort of like in between the South Downs and the Sussex area, from east to west Sussex. And this is just a beautiful one, really, the condition of it. I mean, obviously, like I said, bar the graffiti and everything else, I mean, the original beams that are sort of still here, or the original panelling, is still here. They've obviously repainted that, I would assume, this sort of like reddish colour. But it's fascinating, really, obviously, the smell of burning from where people have obviously lit campfires and stuff like that. But what an incredible place. What a really interesting place historically as well. Should we just take a look back and we'll just sort of like find some like little hidden extra stuff as well? Because we've got to talk about the room as well. The room that we sort of went past, but we'll talk about that when we go round that way. Come on. So one thing I just wanted to sort of point out whilst we're here, because of how well kept this is the fact that you can see, obviously we've got drainage here as well for these butts, and you can just see this beautiful, I mean, it's really clean actually. I mean, again, bar the graffiti, I mean, it's just so well kept. There's a bit of rust on some of it, but actually in terms of its condition, really, really good. And I say that considering this isn't my first rodeo on these. You know, nice bits of detailing. It's got a huge amount of history, heritage. It's really worth preserving this. I mean, to be honest with you, you know, apart from graffiti, it's not really much else you can sort of do. But it's this room that we want to talk about, so let's go visit it. Okay, everybody, welcome to the fire control room. So obviously this was the idea that they would take shelter in this room when the targets were being placed up the top. You can see that it's been decorated with a wonderful Christmas tree, and people have lit fires in it. There's a very strong smell of burning. But yeah, this would have been pretty much the fire control room. Got some vents there. It probably would have been used as some munition storage as well, and just obviously because it needs to be sort of self-sufficient really. There's a building there, not sure exactly what that is. And there's obviously, this is a blast wall. I say blast wall quite extensively like it's something major, but really this is just another protection of the wall as it sort of dips into the valley itself. But I mean, actually, like I said, you know, considering this is in wonderful condition, that's interesting in this building, because it's sort of hard to tell what this little bit would have been. I'm not going to confess to know what that is. It looks like a little utility store, because it doesn't tell me that it would have been a toilet or anything. There's no need for a toilet in the shooting range, to be honest with you. But you can see there's a wooden beam there. I'm going to sort of guess that might have been like some sort of utility store. Again, I'm totally just guessing on that. I could totally be wrong on that. But obviously behind us, like I was sort of saying, was that's the fire control room in there. And it probably would have been used again for maybe storage of munitions as well. It's hard to, again, it's not uncommon in these places that you'd have these buildings as sort of, you know, tactile use really. Wonderful to see though. And then that's looking out onto the range. Obviously dipped in, perfect sort of idea for this targeting, and then obviously any stray bullets, etc., would have been hit into the downs really. And then we can see our targeting butts here, set in beautiful condition. But again, this one, you know, I'm not confessing that this is a new place to discover or anything, but it's just a place that actually, I'm not sure how many people know about this. I'm sure a few of you have been watching might know about this one, and you've probably explored it yourselves, and if you have, well done to you. But obviously for my channel, this is about historical documentation. I just love that board. It gave so much more information than I was probably going to basically give you. But like I said, it does tie in with the fact that there are a lot of rifle ranges dating from the Victorian all the way to the Edwardian, First World War, and in some cases, again, what they even said, Home Guard usage during World War II. Amazing. Just really cool, this one. I was surprised at the condition, as I sort of said walking up here. You know, you never know, but you can imagine these targets being flipped up like that and then being taken. Amazing. Really, really cool pieces of history, this. I love it. Like I said, this is weird as well, because this one was used up until 1980s. In fact, actually, what you probably find really interesting actually is that for the Shoreham one, for example, that I did a long time ago, I did Shoreham Rifle Range, again in a fairly good condition. That was also used, still in operation actually, by the Ministry of Defence for quite a long time actually after, I wouldn't say quite a long time after, but definitely, I think it was post World War II that was also used up until. But you can see with this, because another thing, on these rifle ranges, they vary in different states of condition, and actually the reason why they vary in different states of condition is due to their longevity. The longer they're in use, the more they're going to be shored up and sort of like built into, more in a sort of permanent function. Obviously this controlled firing, for example, there are plenty out there that are more mini bunkers. On some of them don't even have them at all. They might have just been mounds or ditches. They do really vary in the condition, is what I'm trying to sort of say. And that condition is obviously based on, like I said, how long they've been around for. But this one, because of its use, not a surprise that obviously it's been shored up quite a lot. Like I said, there's a nice little blast wall here. You're coming through like we just walked through here. So you can get round to the side. And there you are. Very, very cool. What a brilliant piece of history this one, isn't it? It really sort of surprised me. I knew it'd be graffiti, and I knew that there'd probably be look like there was signs of occupation, but to actually see it in its full capacity, wow, isn't this just so cool? There you go. I was actually expecting more litter, but on a positive, there isn't much, which is even better. So just in case, I'll just talk about this, just in case you didn't understand like how they operated. They're quite simple structures, really quite simple in design. The idea is that these are basically like pulley wheels, really, like bicycle wheels, and the idea is that they, mechanically, there would have been a chain. The idea is that that chain then sort of revolves around, it flips up the target so that it comes up like this, on a sort of like pulley system, basic pulley system I would sort of argue, and then obviously your target is flipped up and then primed for targeting, really. Very, very cool. Well, everybody, thank you so much for coming along with me. As per usual, it's quite nice actually, because if you sort of see the rifle range here, it's so well hidden. In fact, actually, it's just very synonymous with sort of rifle ranges of that sort of date and that era when they sort of first arrived. They're so well hidden you wouldn't even know, but obviously you just imagine these targets popping up, which is so cool, isn't it? Look, I really hope you enjoyed that video. Like I said, I'm sorry that the history lesson was probably more from a board. I apologise for that. It just came across better. I was reading it, I was thinking, do you know what? It is just a better way of doing it. Hopefully I gave you enough information outside of that board as well, talking about, their use and their function, and obviously the building, and then obviously the sort of like what we probably might refer to as a utilities building. Who knows on that one. Anyway, look, love to all of you out there. Thank you so much for coming along with me. I really hope you spread the word of the channel. Much love to all of you out there, and a big thank you to every single one of you subscribed and liked the videos. Take care. Another part of Sussex history documented. Take care. Love to all of you out there, because history matters, and it just does, doesn't it? Kapow? Indeed.